Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we're going to do a character guide on Gao. So I'm a big fan of Gao, I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VI. I think he's a very cool character. He's not like a must pull or anything, but like he's ridiculously good. And the fact that he's like packed in with core is just a bonus, because core is like amazing too, right? So in this video we're going to look at Gao's calls. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the spheres and artifacts and then do a showcase on how to use them. So his calls are actually a little bit interesting and definitely could have some potential use. The big thing is that both of his calls do earth enchant the character. So if for some reason you needed just like earth damage but didn't want to bring a dedicated earth damage dealer, and like doing just one character with some earth damage, maybe if that's enough to help you in a fight, you might bring that. So Life Shaver here basically does an earth damage attack, does earth enchant to the caller, and then the caller gets attack plus 30, max brave 30, and speed 20% up. And this is a party heal. So once again, I do think healing calls are valuable, because at the end of a Shinryu, you might take some tick damage and you need to heal up to meet the requirement, right? Then the LD call, Landslide. This also does earth damage and also earth enchants the caller. Actually, this might be... No, this is party earth enchant as well. So it does self enchant and party enchant. So you do get party earth enchant from the LD call. So once again, very good if you need to have an enchant or weakness element. And then enemy's going to attack down and a max brave down. So there's kind of a lot going on here. Like he can heal, he can earth enchant, do some debuffing and do some buffs. So it actually is not a bad call. It's not one I use a lot, but it's definitely one I could see some use for, right? Alright, so let's take a look at Gao himself here. So let's go and start with his artifacts. So for those of you unfamiliar with Gao, he is essentially like a counter character. So he's going to be doing a lot of counter attacks. In these types of characters, you really want to focus on attack and brave damage to get the most out of those counters. So for his artifacts, I recommend you go attack 108 and Rowdy on the Belt boost, which is the C50. Basically, you're just getting 2 attack buffs and then a max brave buff from having all that on. If you can't get them both, max brave 330 is a decent toss in as well. But I like attack 108, max brave, and attack on the Rowdy on the Belt is what I would go with. And then for calls, or not for calls, for spheres. So for spheres, you've got a few options here. The A slot, you really want brave damage and attack. Brave damage might carry a little bit more weight here just because he's doing so many attacks. You want to maximize out that damage. His own sphere is actually good. It's just a standout brave damage sphere. This is the refined one, which gives 4%. I think the main one gives 10%. And you just have to have max HP. Max HP is a pretty good requirement for Gao, because he's constantly healing on all of his counters. So it's pretty rare that he's not at full HP unless the bosses are like super aggressive and piercing through somehow, right? Rydia, I think, is a good shout out here because Gao does weakness damage. He earth enchants, earth imperils. So when you have weakness damage, you're going to get brave damage and attack. So that's a very good combo there. Now on the E slot, I recommend you go more of like an attack route with him, and I think Pain might be my favorite one for Gao. I think Pain is my #1 pick here. When attacking weakness, party attack up and enemy attack down. Very powerful. I recommend going Pain. Now you could argue Vanille Sphere here, and it's the same thing with like a follow-up character like Core, where if you have Vanille Sphere on, every time you break and counter, or every time you break, you would delete a buff. The reason why I don't like Vanille as much on Gao is because in the team comps I'm going to run him in, I'm going to be running him a lot with Core and Gladio. And their counters or follow-ups could steal breaks from Gao, even though Gao's kind of trying to do his own thing. But Core is definitely going to be hogging all the breaks. If you're running non-Core team comps, then sure. Like, Gao is just a counter character that could be decent on him. So if you really want to, you could put Vanille on there. But I think because he's got an E slot and he's got weakness damage, like, that just screams Pain to me. Pain is just one of the better E spheres in the game. And if you can do weakness damage, I would grab that Pain sphere for sure. And I did refine a bunch because she was recently back, right? Alright, so let's go and hop in. This is a fairly max invest Gao. The only thing I'm missing is blue armor. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of tempted to go for it. It's just my resources aren't the greatest for that, which that's the intent. They want you to go in and like buy packs to get those. So his armor is plus though, and I do have an Ultima weapon on. Everything else is maxed out. So let's go ahead and just hop in here and show our boy off. I'm going to use the same team comp I did in my Shinryu run, just this really good ultimate defense comp. I'm not really going to worry about showing off a force time or anything. We're just going to run him naturally and just basically show off his kit. He's a very easy to use character. We won't worry about the battery. I'll charge my phone after this video. See, the battery is kind of a good check for me to say, hey Joe, you've been recording too many videos, you need to take a break. So I will be taking a break after this video here, right? Alright, so let's get Gladio set up. Let's just get him going with like a Tempest to start. This might, honestly, oh, that's stupid, because this is tied to an event. I'm like, this could be my new, like, showcase stage, because it's just a really nice, easy one, like, no crazy mechanics, but, like, this is from an event boss, so until Core gets his last chapter, this won't be available permanently, unfortunately. Alright, so let's go ahead and sure, we'll just do him, well, let's put this on, just do a little bit more damage. And then even though I don't need to, I'll just hit his LD right away. And then we'll kind of get Gao going. Alright, so let's just do this. And I just love this team comp because it's just like so many counters. And it's so defensive and it's so good. Alright, so here's the way that Gao operates. Okay, he starts out with all of his buffs. So you see his HP and Brave attacks are Landslide. That comes from his LD. Those used to be like the main buttons you would press. Because the way Gao works is he has different stances. So he's got a Life Shaver stance and a Cat Scratch stance. And once you use one, you're kind of locked into it. It used to be that the LD would lock you out of it also, but now it doesn't. So basically the way Gao works right now is he gets a Landslide counter from his LD. And then he, in addition, will get a Life Shaver or Cat Scratch counter. So he's going to get 2 counters every time the party is attacked, right? Let's start with Life Shaver, and he gets a free skill use, so you can choose a stance right away. So let's go ahead and let's use Life Shaver. So this is going to be more of a single target attack, and this does Brave Gains and Battery. And what's going to happen is the initial attack will do that, and then every time he counters, that'll happen, right? So with Core, we'll put Oath of Absolute Defense on Gao, since he's our focus character here. Okay. And then Core's going to get his EX up, of course. And then Gao's going to get another turn. Now what you're going to see, okay, is Gao now, you see that Cat Scratch is blanked out, so he's locked out of Cat Scratch. So it's kind of mimicking his Rage mode from Final Fantasy VI. So he's like in a certain animal or certain enemy's mode, right? So now he's locked into Life Shaver only, or he could use the HP plus attack, or he could use the LD, okay? What we're going to do is we're just going to use the regular attack. You can spam his attacks freely. Like, you are not going to run out of these. Okay? And I'm actually going to break them reverse order so they can get some attacks in. So let's use Life Shaver. So Core's obviously going to go first and steal the breaks. So which is why, like I said, I don't know that I like Vanille Sphere. But look at that. He just did 700k from Life Shaver. And that's battering and healing. And he's going to be doing that as a counter. So let's take a look at how his counters are looking here. Let's go and Dawn Hammer. And then some counters are going to come through. So what makes Gao so good? Watch this. Enemy attacks. Okay. And then watch this. Gao goes with Landslide. That's from his LD. And then he gets a Life Shaver counter, which is going to heal and battery in between. And then Gladio's going to counter. So we got 3 counters off of 1 attack. What makes Gao so good is he operates well with another counter tank character. Normally it's hard running multiple counter tanks because they have to get hit themselves and only one can get hit at a time unless it's an all attack. Well, the way Gao works is if anyone in the party takes Brave damage or HP damage, he will counter. Now you have to be careful because I believe if the enemies miss, he will not get the counter. So you can't run him with a dodge counter tank reliably. You have to do just a regular counter tank. So like Gladio and Auron are the 2 big ones that stand out to me. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead, and I don't really need to do anything crazy here. I guess I can just throw on another debuff. And then I'll go ahead and just put Oath of Absolute Defense and just keep that refreshed on Gao. So we'll go ahead, we'll do that. We'll hit up Gao again. Okay. Alright, so enemy's going to attack. And of course, you know, Core's going to do his big counter thing there. Very nice. Counter Landslide, very good. And then counter Cat Scratch. So Gao is just so good. If you like counter characters, Gao is ridiculously fun. and he's Earth Enchant and Peril, and Earth is a pretty rare element in this game. I want to say it's pretty much like Gao and Guy, and then I think Zande's got Earth and Dark, but he's just like not a good character. And then I guess Ishtola has like one Earth move, but you don't think of her as like an Earth character, right? Okay, just because we're here, let's go ahead and show off the HP Landslide. It's actually quite powerful. So if you want to press the HP plus, it's not bad. Watch. Yeah, we did like 600k with that. Like his regular attacks are going to be a little bit better, but that's still pretty good, right? Okay, so now what we'll do is on the next turn, we'll try to get him in the Cat Scratch so we can show that off a little bit. The enemies will be putting up a nice all attack, so that's good. Yep. Yep, double course because of the all attack. This will do like nothing to us, and if it does, Gao's just going to heal it back like instantly. Yep, and then he gets his buddy back. It's fine. Counter Landslide. So it's the same reason I like Freya so much. Anytime you get like this off-turn healing, it just feels so good. Not that we're taking HP damage with this team comp, but you know, it is what it is. Core, I mean, really doesn't need to do anything crazy here. So Snowbreak on Gao. Get these shields going pretty quick. Okay, so now Gao's up again. So what we're going to do is, so naturally after 3 turns, he would get the option to go back in the Life Shaver or Cat Scratch stance, but we'll use the EX. Now the EX and LD will actually break him out of his stance. So if you want to switch what stance you're in, that's pretty much what you have to do. So, oh, the other thing I should mention, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So on Life Shaver, you saw it did the attack, it did the healing of Brave Gains. I forgot to mention, Life Shaver and Cat Scratch both give him a Beast Teachings buff, which is a huge attack up, like 110%, a big max Brave up of 90, and a speed up. So you want to upkeep that, but as long as you're periodically pressing the 15 or 35, you're fine. We're going to go ahead and do the EX, which is called Beast Raid. This hits pretty darn hard, by the way. Let's see the damage that we get on this here. This hits really hard. It's a pretty slow EX, so it hits hard. Yeah, about a mil with like 700k splash. That's pretty good, right? So Beast Raid there did that very strong attack. It gives him a Pharaoh Youth buff, and it's one of the 2 attacks that actually put Earth in Peril down on the enemy. So now we're going to be doing the weakness damage. So you do want to hit that pretty early to have that weakness damage up. Now the Pharaoh Youth buff that he gets is attack plus 30% max Brave 20. Pretty decent. But what it does is it snaps him out of his stance. So you have to be careful about when you use the LD and EX will both snap him out of stances. You have to be strategic when you do that. You don't necessarily want to auto press him, because if you knock, so like in this instance here, we're going to lose damage. So this is a good example of like maybe why I shouldn't have done it there. Is now the enemies are getting 2 attacks, but because I'm not in a stance, he's only going to get the Landslide counters. So he's missing a counter from each enemy. So watch, we did the attack. We're going to get Landslide, but we're not in Cat Scratch or Life Shaver, so we missed out on the second counter from Gao. Okay, so if that were during like a core force time, we would have missed out on a lot of like percentage boost there, right? We would have missed out on 10% to the force gauge and some extra damage, so that could have hurt. So just be aware that yes, LD and EX are good to press and you want to upkeep buffs, but just keep in mind you're going to snap out of your stance, right? What I'll do now is let's reapply and let's do Cat Scratch. So let's go into Cat Scratch. Now this is, I would say, is the more powerful attack. It's good for AoE Brave Shaving, and it does a really nice chunk of damage to both enemies. So you can see here, I mean, with the launch, we got a mil and then like 500k splash on the other guy. So pretty good there. We'll just Tempest. And now Gao's going to get double counters back, and we're going to get Cat Scratch counters now. So Cat Scratch won't heal, but Landslide, I believe, still heals anyway. So we've still got like healing going, which is good. Yeah, we still got healing, and now we got the Cat Scratch. Look at that, 360k, 180k on the counter. That's pretty good for counter damage. Like Gao showing up like some of the more powerful numbers here on the counter follow-up damage. And then yeah, the team just kind of runs. It's almost auto mode for a lot of this when the enemies are just going and going and going, right? Alright. So now right here, if I need to refresh the LD, this is a good spot. Because you see Gao's going to get another turn before the enemy. So this would be a great spot where you're free to use that. So I'm going to LD here, which is going to free us from our stance. Now what the LD does is he does get a free instant turn, and he's going to get a free ability use on his next turn. He's also going to, it also refreshes his beast teachings, which I already talked about, but then he gets Instinct Awakening. This is a party attack up, HP damage up, and a party earth enchant. And then all the enemies get an attack down and a max brave down. So very, very good, because now my whole party is going to be doing weakness damage. Now what that does is that enables his Landslide stance. So now we're in Landslide stance, and what's really convenient about this is that he gives me a free instant turn after, so now I'm free to go back into Life Shaver or Cat Scratch. And so now I've got my double stances back up. Now right there, because Gao did have another turn, I guess I could have EX back to back and then went into the stance later, which would have been just fine. So let's Reaper Scale here. But that's it. That's basically Gao. That's all of his moves. I think we've talked about everything. So really the way you play Gao is you want to open up by getting into a stance and then try to hit that Beast Raid fairly early. And then try to, once again, you might have to go back into a stance again. But then you're basically upkeeping your Landslide buff, which is the Beast teachings. You want to make sure you keep that upkept. And then you just want to basically keep him in 2 stances while he's being countered. You can fluctuate, once again, between the healing stance or the more offensive stance. But I love this upgrade to Gao. So right here, you can see I could use Beast Raid, but the enemy's about to attack. I'm going to miss my double counters. So this is a good example where maybe I'll Life Shaver, even though my EX is up. And then I might wait till the next turn to use that, right? But why I love this Gao upgrade so much is because literally the way he was before, Life Shaver and Cat Scratch, you just never used them. They're just empty buttons that you never pressed because you basically just stayed in Landslide the whole time. Because the original concept with Gao was that Landslide is a combination of Cat Scratch and Life Shaver together already, because it healed and did pretty good AoE Brave damage. But now they're letting him have the other stance as an additional counter with it, which is awesome, because now I have a reason to press his 15 and 35, which I didn't before, right? Alright, let's go ahead and end with a Beast Raid here, and then we'll end the showcase there. But yeah, Gao, I mean, if you get him and build him up, he is super fun, super cool character. We got the enemy force time here, which is fine. Sure, do your little minimal damage, because Gao's just going to counter and instantly heal it back. Yeah, this team's awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Counter Life Shaver, just like countering for days and days and days and days. Alright, let's end with the EX. So, anyways, guys, there you go. That's Gao. Let me know what you think of him. I love him. I think he's a great, fantastic character. Definitely good pickup. I do recommend, combining him with some other counter tanks. And you're going to have a lot of fun. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.